come along and stitch the Winter Olympics. Thank you, Naptime Stitcher, for organizing this. Welcome to Milan, Cortina, the first Olympics in 2 cities. This week in Stitch the Winter Olympics, we've got short track speed skate, stitch something with a border or a row. Skeleton, stitch something Halloween or fall themed. Snowboarding, stitch something from your favorite designer. Hockey, stitch a Whip-Go project or toward any goal. Nordic Combine, stitch something that is a part of a series. And Olympic Village, stitch something with a house or building. I'm Allison. I welcome you. Here's my friend Lois, and my friend Tracy, and my friend Laura Lynn. Greetings, stitching friends. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like to thank the Naptime Stitcher for inspiring us. And here we go. Today, I was inspired by thinking about when my husband and I had only been married for about a year when the '84 Olympics, not even quite a year. I was attending Cal State University, Los Angeles, and the gym hosted the judo competition. And so there were, officials around and fancy car parking areas and shuttle buses that got obviously special privileges up on the campus that was usually only reserved for walking around. It was really kind of like, this is happening. Swim workouts were reserved at my husband's pool, Smith Park Pool in Pico Rivera. It was a new, maybe 3-year-old Olympic-sized pool, and that was reserved for teams as an official workout site. And again, officials around, special parking. It was really fun and just special. Then, of course, I was so worried about getting from where we live to my job at Disneyland on the regular. And I had planned, I can't go down to the freeway. That'll just be a hot mess of a parking lot. So I better figure out a way to maybe even ride my bike. By bike, it would be about 15 miles. Not terrible. But, then you've got to come home at the wee hours of the morning after a late shift. So that wasn't really going to work out. So I was going to figure out a route with my car down, boulevards to the park. And it turned out there was no worry. Businesses and people left this area like nobody's business. And the freeways were wide. I'm talking hardly anybody on them. And the park, Disneyland, I could stand out in front of Space Mountain. You could have shot a cannon and it would not have hit anyone. It was wide open that summer of '84. Maybe I shouldn't talk about that. It was so wide open that I was granted in July, later July, a 2-week backpacking expedition holiday in Hawaii with outdoor biology professor. And I got to go. We watched the closing ceremonies on the Big Island in Hilo. Very fun. Let's see, the first week or so at Disneyland, I remember the Australian swim team coming on Space Mountain, and there was no way their femurs were gonna work with the pullback bar, so they had to sit one per row. They could not sit side by side because they needed room for their legs. And then I think it was just after the Olympics had concluded, Mary Lou Retton and her family came on Space Mountain. They came down the VIP hallway with a tour guide and went on the ride, and that was pretty cool. Finally, let's see, Olympic pins, trading pins. We were granted with our paycheck an official box set of Olympic team pins. And I'm here to tell you, 84 is when that whole pin trading and lanyard wearing of pins started. I don't remember in 88 if with the Seoul Games if we got pins, but I do know in 92 with the Atlanta Games, we had a whole other set of pins granted to us, and I've got those all safely put away carefully. So that's my story. That's my Olympic story. As far as my stitching, here you go. On 2/12, that was my son's birthday, the son getting married. And so I didn't have much stitching time, but I'm here to tell you, I worked on the Erin Elizabeth camping tier, and that was for something that has a border. And so she definitely does. And I worked on finishing the fire and working up that center pier. My Erin Elizabeth camping tier is being done on 18 count Mystic Gray Ada. Okay, on Friday 2/13, it was something Halloween or fall themed, and I worked on my autumn pillowcases by Hirschner's, and that is on sewn on cuffs, I guess you'd want to say, of 14 count Ada. Saturday 2/14, do stitch something from your favorite designer, and I selected Tiny Modernists Make Today Magical, and I got through this. Love that piece, one of my faves. Make Today Magical is being worked on 28 count Smoky Blue by Fabric Flair. It was the one that the model was stitched on, and I was able to access that. Sunday 2/15 was to stitch something from your Whip Go board or something you have a goal, and that is my Ponte Vecchio bridge. It is a needlepoint piece, and I got through all of the shadow under the bridge here as well. I did a lot on that one. 2/14 on February 14th. I know it was Happy Valentine's Day. It was my son's wedding rehearsal day, so I was kind of wrapped up in that. And then on the 16th, Monday, on President's Celebration Day, we had the wedding to attend. It was wonderful. And so I was determined to do some stitching, and it was a part of something that's a part of a series, and that's of course Ursula Michaels has several of these different themed quilts hanging on a line, and this is called Stars and Stripes. And I know it's not much, but Mrs. Johnson got through doing this. Oh, I think it goes this way. This border while the girls were getting ready. We were getting our dresses on, and I had gotten all dressed and ready to go. No, it was before I got dressed. I was sitting there waiting for the cue, and I got around that. So that's what I did. I got 14 count vintage blue Whisper fabric for my Stars and Stripes, so it would look like there was a little bit of blue sky with those quilts hanging on the line. And then Tuesday, 2/17, we were to stitch something with a building, and I selected my Hands-On Designs Sun, Sand, and Sea. I love this one, and I love that finish. I've got to try to replicate that. I got all this white done, this porch roof and that top done, and then I didn't have this porch done, and I think I started by finishing this white, so I got a little bit done. My Sun, Sand, and Sea by Hands On Design is being worked on 32 count fox and rabbit hog bristle. There you go. You know what? I do have one other memory. I see it hiding under here, under the Ponte Vecchio Bridge and the Stars and Stripes quilts. I took this off my bedroom wall. I was stitching this sampler, and I don't remember who it's by, when the torch went by on Colima Road. They would have different community members run the torch by, and I know it says I finished it in 88, but I'm here to tell you, I started it on the boulevard waiting for the torch to run by in 1984. So I have a good memory of that. I was in my 20s when I did that.
Hi, it's Lois again, and I'm back with days number 7 through 12 of the Stitch the Winter Olympics. This is day 7, something with a border. This is my Fox and Rabbit 2026 stitch along. It's stitched on 14 count white Aida with DMC floss 355, 422, and 3766. It's coming along. I'm really enjoying this one. So that's my day 7. Day 8 is Stitch Something Halloween or Fall, and I picked free pattern. It was called Mini Boo by Shannon Christine, and I had such a good time stitching that I finished it. So she's ready to be made into a pillow. This is stitched on 14 count printed Aida from DMC, pinks and purples, with DMC floss. And I backstitched around the ghost so she would stand out some more. I really enjoyed this one. Day 9 was your favorite designer. I still really don't have a favorite designer, so I just picked up my eagle from the Cross Stitch Studio and worked on him some more. And here we go. I worked on the beak, the lower beak, and then some in the upper beak area. So we're getting there. I've been working on this since December of 2022, and we'll get her done. So that's my eagle. Day 10 was a whip go. This one here is a wind chime. It's called You Are My Sunshine. It's from Dimensions, and the date is 1998, so it's possible that's when I started this. And it was a kit, and it's stitched on 14 count plastic canvas. When I pulled it out, all I had was the center done and the outlines of like every other petal. So I filled in the petals, started the next ones, and adding the embellishments. So that was day number 10. Okay, day number 11. Day number 11 was part of a series, and I had started this series. It's called Albatrosses, and I got one finished. So this is the albatross and the lighthouse. My next one that I'm going to do is albatross and crab. And I have a confession to make. I didn't get it started. I got the hoop on and I'm ready to go. I've got all my flosses in my bag. I'm ready. But Monday night, I had my Peruvian family here for a complete Thanksgiving dinner, and I was exhausted that night. So no stitching got done, but I will get it started. If not tonight, maybe tomorrow night. So that will be part of my series. The third one in the series is this albatross. And I plan to make these into pillows also. And then the last one was something with a house or building. And I have my American Farmland, God's Country. And I have the first barn. I had already started on this, so I worked on it some more. I finished up the first barn, and I'm started on the back stitching before I want to finish the whole square before I move on to the next one. So this is on also 14 count white Aida with the floss that came in the kit from Design Works. So that's it. That's the days 7 through 12. And I'm really enjoying this. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Hi there, Tracy with you to share the next 6 projects in the Stitch the Winter Olympics hosted by the Naptime Stitcher. Day 7 was Stitch Something with a Border or Row, and I chose this one. I am a woman of many whips, so I have a different whip for each day of the Olympics. I'm stitching this on a 32 count Fabrics by Crafty Kate fabric, using all the called for over-dyed flosses, and this time I managed to get this little bird. I've finished off this house, and this is the roof of the next house. Day 8 was Stitch Something Halloween or Fall themed, and I don't really celebrate Halloween over here, so I don't stitch many Halloween stitches. And I'm stitching this witch, which it's quite Halloween fall, I thought. This is a Woodcut Witch, and it's by Raven Stitchcraft on Etsy. I'm stitching it on a rather splendid bright green fabric that I got off somebody in a D-stash. And I'm using sulky threads for this one. And I've just started on the witch. And I'm using this thread that is a variegated sort of purples. And I've just stitched her hat this time. I got 716 stitches into this one, and I'm loving it. I almost didn't want to put it down. I forgot to mention that I got 521 stitches on my Seaside Tiny Town. The next day was Stitch Something by Your Favourite Designer. I've got a few, but one of my great loves at the minute is the Long Dog Samplers, and this is one of sort of a set of 4. I've completed one of them. This one's called Fisherman's Friends. And I call this one my pleasure stitch because I'm actually stitching this one with a wonderful thread from Silks for You. This is PR147. It's a delight to work with. And I'm almost at 50% because I can't seem to put it down. I used I'm not sure which silk it was, but another silk to stitch these 2 octopuses just for a bit of interest. And this one got 500 stitches. The next one, I actually changed on my list. It was supposed to be a different one, but I was going through my stitches and I pulled out this one. And my word for this year is determination. So I was determined to get good progress on this, and I actually got a finish. I started this one with Lois. Lois has long since finished hers. And it wasn't the most pleasant of patterns to work from, but I got it done and I'm very happy. My next one was one of my Mirabilias that I started. I think I've got 4 started at the moment. This one's called Gwen, and she's a bewitching pixie. I've got nearly all of them. I think there's 8. I'm not sure in the set, but I've started this one. And this one is on a 32 count fabric that I dyed myself. As you can see, I've got quite far. I hope to get it finished at some point this year, maybe. I stitched 260, no, I didn't. I stitched 358 stitches on this one. And the next one is another Mirabilia. This one's one of my favourites. She's called Raven Queen. And this is what she will look like. I seem to have been stitching this one forever. She's got a ton of beads and specialty threads. She's even got some whisper threads in that I'm not really looking forward to stitching. And I'm stitching this on a 28 count. I'm not sure who it's by. It's been quite a long time since I started it and I don't seem to have the details. But this is how far I've got. She is headless. But I think you'll agree she's looking gorgeous. So there's some of the specialty flosses. I'm really enjoying this stitching journey. I hope you are too. Just another quick glance at my surprise finish. Happy stitching!
Hello, Miss Alicine Stitching fans. This is Laura Lynn for the Stitch Olympics Day 12, which stitch on a border. I restarted my fox and rabbit. I'm going to continue it. I don't know how far, but I do like this border, so we would continue it. The 13 was for fall, so I did this little pumpkin, and it also plays into day 16, but we'll go back to that. Favorite designer, I don't really have one, and I got these fall ones were from this lovely book here. And I don't have a favorite designer, so I just chose this one, which I have been working on for most of last year. It is a Fox and Rabbit 2025 stitch along. And then towards a goal, which is the stitch together that Miss Allison gave me. I have worked a little bit on that. And then part of a series is back to the fall here, because I did, as part of the first part of the series, this little stamp, and I'm going to make that into a stamp as well as I'm going to make other seasonal ones into little stamps. So I've kind of combined a few little patterns for that pumpkin there and like that spider, and then just made my own, okay? And then as for the building, I have this cute little mouse village that was given to me. I haven't started it yet, but I will end up doing it. And then to stay on target for number 18, I'm just going to keep focusing on the fox and rabbit. So thank you very much for inviting me. And I'm just working on with materials that I have and threads that I have. What I thought was really kind of fun is this metallic here from DMC. I use that for the pumpkin. So I thought that would be kind of neat and shiny. Oh, we'll see. Take care. Thank you.
So there you go. That's what we have. Thank you for being here. We'll see you for the big 5-day ending next week. I hope you'll be here. Thank you, Lois. Thank you, Tracy. And thank you, Laura Lynn, for being a part of this. And I really, again, appreciate the Naptime Stitcher. #Stitch the Winter Olympics. Rock on. See you next time. Bye for now. The Olympics. They are defined by profound emotional human stories of sacrifice and triumph. They inspire our national pride and showcase peak human performance that transcend daily life. Indietro 2. Back to Milan, Cortina. Grazie. Ti piace? Please like and subscribe. Enjoy.